welcome to the Improv. As always, I'm your host, Spencer, and with me today I have a very special guest. And of course, I always say that I have a special guest. So in order to make every guest feel special, I've decided to play that old name game where you take the person's first letter, that first name, you put an adjective in front of it, and that becomes their name in that old warm-up game. And today I have with me Totally Trevor.
Totally Trevor. I like that.
I wanted to do like this,
I did like a weird both,
yeah, like a mix. Yeah, like rock on, totally.
Yeah, it's for your different audiences, whoever wanted whichever.
This is, by the way, I really love you in sign language.
I love that. Yeah, the R. I know sign language. I know a little bit.
You know something?
A little bit. I know I can finger spell, but that's really it.
I have not practiced in a while, so I don't remember what it's I think so. So yeah. My sign language is a little rusty. It's real rusty. Rusty. There we go. Wow, I don't know what rusty. Maybe I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I don't think I learned that. But I took sign language in college, sign language 101. Always loved it, and I wanted to minor in it, but then my major, all the classes were at the same time, so I couldn't do it. So fortunately, I never got to keep going with it. But
I took it in college too, and it was a class I was supposed to take for my music therapy degree. It was nonverbal communication is what the class was. And so we're supposed to talk about animal communication, body language, a little bit of sign language. The class was basically just sign language.
That's cool.
And we took it, and then after the class, I'd asked the teacher, I said, where can I keep taking it? And she gave me some references, and I took it there. So I've been taking classes on and off for a few years back in my hometown when I was in college. And then when I moved out here, I just haven't really done it.
Yeah.
And so I will say that my my vocabulary is pretty good, but my reception is not.
Yeah.
Watching someone sign is very hard for me.
Yeah.
But I try whenever. I don't know what whenever is. This is whatever. I know that, but whenever I can to practice, so I don't forget or I guess lose the signs. But it's hard when you have no one to talk to.
Yeah, see, you're doing so. I literally just remember the finger spelling. Other than that,
I see.
Other than the basic, I'll do every now and then I'll do same, or I'll catch someone being oh, same, and I'm like, hey.
There's same, which I like, but there was also this one, oh, that's brother. That's that's brother. No, that's, I don't know. There's this is brother, I think, brother and sister, because they're the same family. But same, it's this, or I like this one's a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Which is interesting. I also learned the hard way. Shy, prostitute.
Oh,
I learned the hard way. I also learned excuse me.
Uh-huh.
But I did it like this, saying excuse me, which means one night stand.
Oh, great.
So I learned also, you got make coffee, make love.
Oh, it's you see, it's always there's a lot of little things.
I think this is build.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's
fun. I always wish I kept doing classes. Maybe one day I'll do just a course or something.
Well, maybe we'll just improvise in sign language on this show. Just kidding.
Next time.
But speaking of improvising, let's talk about you, Trevor, and your improv experience. What is your background in improv?
Yeah, it's actually a little interesting in that I never really knew what it was or got into it at all. And then in 8th grade, between 7th and 8th grade, I signed up for classes for my 8th grade classes, and the school just lost my transcript. So they're just we're just going to put you in things. And they put me in a drama class. And I was okay, I was in a play in 4th grade. Cool, whatever. And I really loved it. And then the week of Thanksgiving, so we only had 3 days, was our improv week. So we watched Whose Line, which I never saw Whose Line before. And then we did just basic scenes. We probably did games too, I don't remember. But I remember doing my first scene, and then afterwards the teacher's like, Trevor, you're like good at that. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's just like making things up. I don't know. Like, you just roll with the
Yeah.
punches. But then I didn't do anything improv or acting related whatsoever until junior year of college. I went to Arizona State University and I signed up in an improv class with my best friend and roommate. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it with you. That sounds fun. And then he had to drop it for another class. And I was like, I don't, oh no. So I was like, I'll just do it for a week and then I'll drop it if I don't like it. And the first class, our first thing was just to go up on stage with like a person in the class and just talk, just have a conversation. That was the whole thing. And not trying to be funny or anything. And it had to be a normal conversation. I was going with someone who was a football player for ASU and didn't even know what improv was, thought he was just going to take like an easy class. And I'm complete opposite of a football player in every single way, shape, and form. So it was hard to have a conversation with him because that's all he talked about. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I kept trying to like relate. And like at one point I was like, are you guys sponsored? He was like, yeah, we're sponsored by Nike. And I was like, oh, I think my socks are made by Nike. And that like killed. And I don't know why. And afterwards I remember being like, that was horrible. I hated this. And my teacher was like, I could have watched that conversation all day. And I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, and then I ended up kept on going with the class and really loved it and met really great friends and learned a lot and really like came out of my shell because that was my first. I transferred to ASU my junior year, and I'm just not good in new situations. So I was like adjusting to college life because I went to Paradise Valley, or I went to a community college. So that's just like I live at home, but this is like I'm living on campus.
Right.
So it was a lot of adjustment. But then like I remember my improv class, I was just like, I'd get up and be like, oh, thank God my improv class is today. Like it was just like a relief. And yeah, and then the next semester ASU has a comedy like little club, and they do improv comedy, sketch comedy, and stand up, and like a variety show. And my teacher recommended us audition, and I did, and I got onto the sketch group because I didn't audition for the improv group because it didn't work with my classes, the rehearsals and stuff. But anyway, yeah, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing sketch comedy. I don't really know what that is. And then loved that and did that for 2 years, became the assistant director, and I was like, I think I like comedy. Like I don't. And then I like started watching SNL like then. Not that I was just like, that's the only outlet of comedy that I know exists is SNL, like everybody else.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, and then so I did sketch for 2 years, did a little bit of improv at the one theater one of the theaters in Arizona. It's the biggest one and it seats 30 people. Biggest improv theater called The Torch. Did a class there.
They're big. All 30 seats.
It's huge. No, but they're really good. Mike Birbiglia called it his favorite improv school. So
oh wow,
good for him. Or good for them. That's awesome. But yeah, and then I came out here, and Second City Hollywood was the first one to accept my work study application because I could not afford that.
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah, so that's why I went to Second City. I was not drawn to it in any other way other than I was able to get free classes because I worked there. And then I just went through and I love it. And I graduated from Second City, which is amazing to say. And now I'm here.
You've gone downhill since.
No, it's
for this show.
it's plateau. That's
plateau. Yeah.
That's not bad. It's not downhill. We're on the same level.
So one thing that I actually thought was really interesting in your whole background is honestly the Nike socks.
It always stands out.
Which, first of all, I didn't even think about the fact that Nike makes socks because they do have the check marks on socks.
Yeah.
But secondly, what I love about that is a lot of when we talk about improv, we talk about being in the moment and how a lot of times as improvisers we want to be the funny. We want to make sure that people are laughing. And sometimes when as a comedian, as an improviser, as an actor, when you try to be funny, it does not work because you're trying to be funny. And the whole socks thing is funny because it's such a wonderful moment of like just like you stating like I think my socks are from Nike, but it being a funny moment because it wasn't planned, which is all of improv. But also it's realistic. It's not like weird and wild and wacky and unusual, which we do in improv. But because it was such a sincere statement, it was literally you just having a conversation. And that could have easily been something where it's like, I think my socks are made from Nike, and that could be picked up on something where that becomes like the game or the unusual thing or whatever the case may be, depending on what school you train at.
Yeah.
Of like picking up on like, I think this Gatorade is made by Nike.
Yeah.
I think that's a painting made by Nike. Like
Exactly.
everything could just be made by Nike. Or on the reverse, if your socks are made by Nike, maybe like I don't know, your bed is made by BP, and your car is made by IKEA. Like there's a lot of fun ways to play around with just that one statement. And so I think that that's something that's really cool. But have you felt that like when you're doing improv, like the more you try to be funny, the harder it is to actually be funny?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I feel like that's actually one of my biggest issues is I'm like, I need to make people laugh. But it's always the best scenes I've ever done is just like where I'm just like more so in the relationship with my scene partners. And I find it, for me at least, like when I focus on that like brings out the funny, because then like you can see like how do you make that relationship interesting. And that even goes on with like I'm trying to remember, there was a scene that I did in class forever ago, and it was like a date, it was like a high school date at a library, and I wasn't one of the two, but we kept doing walk-ons, and the walk-ons were like all someone who was related to, I think, the boyfriend. It was like, oh, the mom comes in and like drops off sandwiches, and then like the principal comes in and is like, oh, by the way, you just won student of the lifetime or something. And so it was like when we all came on, it was all about like how we related to that one person. Because then it was funny because the girlfriend was like, oh, I guess this is just like the perfect guy, but like I think it was like they were about to break up or something.
Oh, I see.
And I'm not like 100% remembering, but yeah, so like when we find those relationships, it's like when it's funny. And I guess with the sock thing was like I was trying so hard to establish this relationship with this football player just to like be able to have a conversation, but it just wasn't there. But that's what made it funny, was because like I think it was so obvious I was trying so hard that the best way I could do it was to be like, Nike, yeah, my socks, right? Like, and see, he ended up dropping the class the next day. So yeah, I don't know what happened to him. He's just like, I hate this. So
it was too hard for him.
It was too hard. Yeah.
Which is so funny because like improv, like I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say like, I mean, I did drama in high school. I did chorus in like twice. I did like 2 classes of chorus in high school, and I wouldn't necessarily consider them easy classes. But like with something like improv, I wouldn't necessarily consider it an easy class either, but it's also not a class where I have to spend outside class time preparing anything.
That's true.
I think that that's what kind of makes it like with like a football player who has practice and also has other classes, a class like that would actually be beneficial. One, improv for football and improv for sports is, I mean, improv is a team sport in a way.
Yeah.
But it would be beneficial because there's not prep outside of class. And I think that that's a beneficial thing in that regard, because you're not spending extra time practicing outside of class, unless you're doing like a team or whatever the case may be. Or like
Mhm.
me, I put on music and just start singing things. Like I try to musical improv with myself, and
Yeah.
not as exciting as it is for people. But I think that there's something in that. Anyway, off
Mhm.
topic, back on topic. Let's
No, totally,
segue
yeah.
back in. What do you love about improv? What keeps you wanting to keep doing improv and going back to improv, or remembering how much you enjoyed improv back in college to now?
Yeah, and I almost feel like me talking or just about my improv experience helped me realize that, like, I've always had this sense of relief with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's this, and I've talked to other people before and they felt like it too. It's just like, in a weird way, it's like a stress release. Like, it's just like, especially when I was going up through Second City, I was also working 2 part-time jobs. At one point, I was working 3, so I was working,
Only
like,
three? I was
yeah,
like
only
11. I was doing
3.
11.
Yeah. But I was working, like, 6 to 7 days a week, and so then to go into class, which, like,
Only seven
sometimes
days a week? I
yeah,
was
that's
working
it.
like
So
10 days a week.
I know, well, a lot of freaking DOS been there. Um, but yeah, and so I don't know, it's interesting because I don't really know why, but I think it's more like you can be you're basically like you're being somebody else. So it's really like in each scene or game or whatever, you're like you're you're put into a new world and it's like I have control over this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're doing it with friends, and also because improv is like, even when you're not trying for it to be funny, it's pretty funny. Like, unless you're doing drama, like dramatic improv, which I've never done, so I can't really put my 2 cents on it, but like it's just like you're also, as much as the stress release of like getting to control your world is, it's also like, oh, and then I'm also laughing, and that's also great.
Mm-hmm.
um and then yeah, I don't know, and it's just the energy that comes from it. Like, I just did improv for the first time in person since when did we 2020, February 2020.
When did we? I remember all about it because I got into a really awesome improv show in
Yeah.
January 2020. I had a show in February and never saw everyone again.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've seen
I had
like a
one
few
show.
I've like seen some people from that, from really awesome, just like at like a party or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
ah, hi, like what, like I just like miss you all so much, and
Yeah.
but anyway, it's just like the energy, especially really awesome improv show. Like,
Yeah.
you just get so much energy from each other and then from the audience
Mhm.
that you just leave and you're like, oh, like that felt good.
But it
Like,
also like even in that regard, like really awesome improv show is a whole different experience entirely because it's specifically for a younger audience. Like
mhm,
I mean that the show itself is G-rated.
mhm,
So I mean I generally tend to just go G with my improv anyways. That's just
same.
how my brain kind of works. I teach preschoolers and toddlers, so I generally
Yeah.
just in like elementary, so I'm generally just in that mindset. But that's also what I think makes really awesome improv show something so different and interesting because the energy of kids watching improv and the energy of parents seeing something that's appropriate for their kids, but also knowing that I've seen episodes. I act like this. I've seen some performances of really awesome improv show where the whoops was used.
Yeah.
Which for those that don't know, the whoops is basically if you say something that's not age appropriate for kids, we get whoops and everything reverses and you just start the scene again as if it never happened because it disappears forever.
Mhm.
But I think what's really interesting about that show, and I mean, comedy sports kind of has a similar vibe to it as well, where like they don't take suggestions that are inappropriate. They keep everything. They get called out, like the ref will brown bag if things are not appropriate. But with those shows, it shows that not only are we making things fun and funny and family friendly, but we're only humans. Like we're gonna make mistakes. Like
Yeah.
we we're not thinking about it. We're just so trained to make it feel like what you're watching on stage or on screen is like rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. So when you watch it, you're like, oh, I wonder how many takes it took for that. But when we're improvising, we're in the moment. And so I
Mm.
think that I love that because it gives us that idea of like this is a little off topic, but now I'm on a tangent about it.
Totally
But
fine.
it shows that like we're improvising and we're only humans. So when we actually improvise, we're actually doing it in that moment. So we may end up saying things that we didn't mean to say, or say something in a weird way, or say something that was not the intention.
Mhm.
And that's just what happens. And you move on. That's what I've
Yeah.
learned. You move on.
No,
But I
no,
love that. I
totally.
love that.
Yeah, it is funny that you said like being maybe now like as I start that sentence, I was like, wait, how did you phrase it? But I think you said something like when you're doing sketch or when you're doing like a dramatic performance, like you're like rehearsing it and you like want it to like seem that way. When my parents, because I did sketch comedy for so long, my parents never saw me do improv until I did the Torch Theater in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And they, especially my dad, could not believe that it was not rehearsed. They were just like, "Wait, so none of that was written?" And I was like, "No." And they're like none of it? And I'm like, "No."
Yeah. Yeah. All made
Absolutely
up.
none of it. And that's when you know you had a good show, is when like people are like, "Wait, are you sure that that wasn't made up, or that was made up?"
Yeah, or the compliment that I've gotten sometimes, not because I did a great job, but like in shows that I've been in where there have been some great players, where people come up, they're like, I come in and see you guys every month, and every time I'm so impressed. Like I know that you're making it up, but like it's like a magician thing. Like I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times, and I'm sure it's really simple, but like I just don't know how you do it, and I'm
Yeah.
impressed every time I see it. And that is such an awesome compliment to know that it isn't like just like a once and
Mm.
done kind of thing, like a one and done. Like you can actually go back. No two improv shows are the same. I've never
Right.
seen two improv shows that have had the same through line.
Right. Yeah. And when I was doing grad review at Second City, we start off with doing shows that are like improvised, you know?
Hmm.
And so we were doing that. And then as we got into grad review, like part two, we had me and I'll just say their names just to shout them out. Serenity, we
Yeah.
love Serenity. And then Jeanette Garcia, or sorry, not Garcia, Serenity Garcia, Jeanette Franco. Jeanette Franco. We had this incredible scene that we improvised, and I like wrote it down that night. I was like, this is amazing. And then later on in grad review part two, we're like, we need to like do this again. So then we re-improvised it in class, and it lost all of its spark. Don't know
Mm.
what happened. We like went by beat for beat, like how it worked so well in the show. But like it was a bummer because we're like, we really wanted to visit that again. But then it also just showed you like the beauty of the moment. Like the stars aligned in that one show to have this one incredible scene, you
Oh
know?
yeah. And
And
I've had that happen too. I remember it was it was for grad review also.
Mhm.
We improvised the scene. I was like, this is the plot or whatever. And it like worked out really well. And I was like, and then our teacher was like, or our director was like, go rewrite this, go write it down, and we're gonna do it again, like, next class. And so I wrote it down, and then we did it in class, and it was just like,
Yeah,
it like didn't work because it was so funny in the moment.
yeah.
And then writing it down, it was almost like, ooh, this is not good.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the beauty of it. It's just like you found a spark that you can like hold on to. Like you can hold on to that memory of that scene, even though it didn't work later on. You can be
Yeah.
like, wow, it worked.
It happens all the time on the Universal tour when I'm giving tours. Something will happen on my tour, and I will make a joke, and it will be so funny, and like it'll like surprise me, and everyone starts laughing, and I'm like, oh, that was a good joke. I'm going to use it again. Every other time it falls flat
Yeah.
because it like worked for that tour in that moment.
Hmm.
And then like I can try and then like when I feel like I'm trying to force it in, I
Hmm.
either have to do one of two things: don't say it,
Yeah.
or if I do, really push how corny it is. Like
Yeah.
get it,
And then you get
Um,
the collapse.
yeah, or I get silence and I go, thank you. I'll take your silence as that you enjoyed that. I will be here for the rest of the tour. Thank you.
Love that.
But then I get a laugh when I say that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying I don't want to spoil all my
Yeah, don't tell
my
us the
fun lines.
jokes.
Although I did the one for the Super Bowl when I worked the Super Bowl recently.
Mhm.
Um, the Super Bowl is like, so we have this like a Falls Lake where there's a giant blue wall and a water basin, basin that can be filled with water. So I said, this is a Falls Lake. It's got a giant blue wall. It's also got a basin that can be filled with water. Some might consider a basin like to be a large bowl, perhaps even a Super Bowl. And my first tour, like really laughed. My second tour, I don't think even understood what I was like. They just did not get it, and I was like, you know what? This is a one day only joke because I can no longer do that joke until like next Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Which was fine because I did it and it worked, and then I know that I can't use that anymore because it's not going to work now because it's going to be so out of context of that. Anyways. But I don't know if you were if you had something else you wanted to finish up. I kind of just cut you off.
No, I don't think so.
Great. Well, let's move on to, do you have any plugs or any pitches, anything you want to shout out, share?
Yeah. So I have a sketch comedy troupe now. We went up with each other through Second City. It's called Participation Trophy. Right now, isn't it great?
That's great. I love it.
So right now we've been performing with, there's a new variety show that's like started by some friends of mine called Goat Show. Okay. So you can follow Goat Show LA on Instagram we just did our last show on Saturday. I don't know when the next one is, but you'll find out from there. And then in the Participation Trophy is working on some stuff for the future. So we'll see. I'm sure that we'll update on that, but on Goat Show LA, when these things happen, eventually we're going to do our own show. So
awesome, that's great. Yeah, I can't wait I want to see Participation Trophy. That's such a great name.
It's so great, and we have like ideas for we have like an Instagram account like set up, but we haven't posted anything to it because we kind of need to have that meeting on how we want to run it. But we have like some photo ideas and promo stuff
that's awesome.
That'll be really fun.
That's really cool. I love that name. I love that name. Anyways, thanks so much for joining me here, Trevor, on the Improv Summit. I have one more question for you, and that's kind of the reason why the Improv Summit exists. A lot of times prior to pandemic, but even in the midst of pandemic, with a lot of improv moving online, I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, Spencer, you take a lot of improv. Where should I take improv? And I have a hard time answering that question because I feel like there's a lot of elements to where someone should take improv. So if someone came up to you and asked you that question, what would be one piece of advice or one tip you'd give to them to help guide them on their improv journey?
Yeah, I have a couple tips, but I'll be fast.
Go for it. Yeah,
I'll be fast. I think always a great thing to do, even though I guess I didn't really do it, but is to like go see a show.
Learn from Trevor's mistakes.
Learn from my mistakes. No, when I came out before I started improv in LA, I went to see a few shows.
Like, I started my first improv class was a musical improv class. So
there you go.
And surprisingly, I came back.
But like go see some shows just like throughout. Luckily, something that's really cool seems to be improv is becoming slowly more widespread throughout the country. So there's all these studios. Make sure that you see it and you just kind of like vibe with it. It's very, especially when you watch it, I feel like for the first time, it's very nerve-wracking. You were saying earlier about about people watching and then being like, I don't know, I've seen you every time and it's always amazing, and like I don't know how you guys do it. That's how I felt when I first saw a really awesome improv show. I was just like, I don't know how they do it. And then like a year and a half later I got on, and I mean even like during it I'm like, I don't know how we do it.
It took me 3 years to get on that team, and I got in, and then the world imploded.
Spencer, that sucked. Yeah, I auditioned once and didn't get in. But
I got called back every year.
Oh no!
And then the year I finally get in, I have one show before the world implodes.
Ah, man!
I tried so hard.
You tried so hard. That's okay. When Second City Hollywood finds a new space, it'll come back.
Yeah. I'll be at the top of the roster.
Top of the roster. But anyway, yeah, see a show, and then also like if you're in a place that has multiple improv studios, kind of decide like what you want out of it, because like we have or had so many here. So like a lot of like I have a roommate who did Groundlings, and it was like he's a big like character driven guy, and so like that's why Groundlings like fit so well for him. If you
No,
want to
thank you.
be
Characters are not my strong suit.
nope, not me
I'm just
either.
the heightened version of myself every time in a
Exactly.
scene. That's all I do.
Exactly. There was a class, I think it was like Conservatory 2. I was having, just for whatever reason during those 2 months, I was having like back pain. So then every single character had like a pain, like a bodily
Amazing.
pain at some point.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah, whatever. And then like UCB is like really good for people who want to be writers, and like that's however longer UCB is going to last. I don't know. But that's another thing. And then Second City, I it's hard to like just figure out the voice of Second City. Like I feel like it's kind of just like these are a lot of people who kind of just want to have fun with it. And I think it's more relationship based. So it's kind of like if I guess it's more like if you want to be on with a group, which that's what this is.
Yeah, it's very improv to sketch. Like it gives you a little bit
Yeah.
of both, and those are both very group heavy
Yeah.
ideas, the sketch and the improv.
Yeah. Because I don't do stand up, and I won't ever do stand up because that's the scariest thing, to be on stage alone. But like I love doing improv and sketch because I'm on stage with other people. Like I'm just so comfortable that way. I've done like improv scenes. Oh, there's an improv game, Oscar winning moment. This is a good
Sure.
example. Where for those of you at home who don't know, they like do a scene, and then someone who's hosting will be like, Oscar winning moment, Trevor, and then like you step forward and give like an Oscar winning monologue
In the spotlight.
yeah, like in a spotlight. And I love watching it, and I was so excited to do it for the first time. When I did it first time, I hated it. I was like, I hate this. Like I can't, I'm so bad being alone. But yeah, and so that's why I think Second City ended up being the perfect match for me. So yeah, so like see what you want to get out of it, and and kind of look up, do your research, ask around on like what studios cater to what, you know. And there's a bunch of small indie ones around LA too that are also really great.
I love that. I love that a lot. And it actually made me think of, when you talked about Oscar winning moment, on a quick side note, it made me think of when we were doing really awesome improv show rehearsals where we did the musical chairs, whatever that game is, where if you get out, you sing the song, which I love musical improv. And it's so funny because I remember what my like genre was, and I remember the last line of my song very vividly, but I don't remember the rest of it. And it was a moment where I was like, I wish someone saw this live because it was such a good one, but I can't replicate it. But I remember my genre was Disney. And my last line was, I've got 18 holes to go, and it was or whatever the number was. It was golf, was like the suggestion of golf and a Disney golf, Disney song, golf, whatever. And that was all I remember. And I was like, or I think it was 15 holes to go, because 18 is how many there are. So I said 15 holes to go, and I don't remember the rest of it, but I remember that go rhymed with whatever it was before, and I surprised myself by rhyming, and I was like, oh, this was so good, and I can't remember it.
Oh man.
Remember. So if anyone was there for that rehearsal that's watching this and wants to tell me what I sang, please let me know, because I would love to know.
I wish I remembered. I do like have a memory of you doing musical chairs and being like, wow, that was so good. Because I'm not good at musical improv. This is my favorite story to tell about really awesome improv show. One time it was during, I think it was during the Diversity Fest. It was where there was a lot of people at Second City, seeing a lot of shows. And this woman came up to me and she was like, hey, are you in the really awesome improv show? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh my gosh, I've seen it a lot of times. I've seen you a couple times. They're always so funny. My favorite thing you do is that when you have to sing, you like play a character who's like very shy and like not good at singing. And like that's like what they said to me. And I was like, yeah,
my character.
Character. That's it.
It's like also like it was so funny because we're not getting off topic, but that's okay. I remember they're like, you know, for your first show, your first training show, we're gonna like go easy, you know, the easy games, like one word at a time, all this, and then they give us. I get there, and they give us the list of games and who's playing what games, and it was like, all right, Spencer, you're gonna do one word at a time, story, this and that and the other, and a musical blind line. And I was like, this is my first show. What?
Oh my god!
So I was ready. I was like, I love musical games because I think I'm a strong singer. I mean, I have a degree in music.
Right,
and my
right.
principal instrument
And
was
I think
voice.
they
So
knew
for
that
me,
too. Yeah.
right, which I think I was like, give me all the musical games. But also, that's another thing with like, you know, we can talk about this later. But improv, when you're auditioning and casting for improv, you have to have a variety of different types of improvisers.
Yeah.
Because if every single person is terrible at musical improv, you can't do any musical improv stuff.
No.
But if you have a couple people who are really good at it,
Mhm.
you're obviously going to spotlight them in those types of scenes or those types of games. Whereas, like for me, characters are not my thing. If you got like something that like, or like scenic games, like a Foursquare, I'm so bad at Foursquare.
Mhm.
Like so, but I know that I would be put into like a musical game, and someone else on my team is going to be really strong at Foursquare, and they're going to get put in for that. And like I might not, and that's okay. I'm okay with not ever playing Foursquare again.
Yeah, see, I love Foursquare. I love being it. So that was
So-
it was probably us. It was we
Yeah.
were the opposite too.
Exactly. So that works out really well because you have to have that balance.
Mhm.
And then, you know, then there's going to be someone else who's really good at characters who's also going to be in our team because that's not me. My two-prov partner loves to throw characters at me, and he knows I will do them. I hate them, but he
Yeah.
knows I will do them. I'm just terrible at them. Like I'm just very bad at them, but I will do them. If you make me a character, I will do it.
Yeah. For
I'm
musical
gonna be
chairs,
disappointed.
yeah. For musical chairs, so I think it was controlled by our tech. So I think it was Zoe. She told me when she was like, because I was telling that story, and she was like, I can tell that I know you struggle with musical improv, and I can tell you're not confident, not comfortable. So that's why I often have you win, like on purpose.
That's so nice.
And I was like, thank you so much. And she was like, I hope you're fine with that. I'm like, I'm a-okay with that. I'm a-okay. But
And that's why I would never get past like 6th or 5th place.
yeah. It was good. Sometimes she would be like, but sometimes I like to see, sometimes you got to see the improviser struggle a bit. And
Right. Which is why
Right.
I ended up doing Foursquare for my audition the year I got in. I was like, of course I'm doing this game.
yeah.
But luckily I had a great support from my scene partner. And instead of going, I don't like Foursquare, I went, you know what? I'm just going to do something that I'm good at. And then I'll figure it out from there. And it was me just laying down on the floor and flailing my arms.
Good. Perfect. That's exactly it.
Anyway, Trevor, thanks so much for joining us
Yes.
here on the Improv Summit. I did say that was the last question I had for you, but as always on this show, I'm a big liar. And
How
I have
dare you.
another question for you. And that question is, we've been talking a lot about improv. You want to do some improv?
I guess.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do some improv. Trevor, what I need from you is an answer to this question. Do you want a location, a relationship, or a word?
Let's do a relationship. Let's start with
All right, I'm going to give you 2. You tell me which one you want to go with. The suggestions are a physical trainer and an actor,
Mhm.
or a yo-yo artist and an agent.
Obviously, yo-yo artist and
Obviously.
Obviously.
Great. And who would you like to initiate this scene?
You can. Let's have you do this
Great. All right. Thank you.
one. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is the flip, the flip up.
Okay. Yeah.
Take the yo-yo and you flip it up.
It looks amazing. I mean, the judges are gonna love that. The judges are absolutely gonna love that. I feel like you need more facial. Can you do like more facial expressions during that? We really need to like wow the creativity like part of the judgment.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll let me do the flip up, but I'll like put something on. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. That's amazing. You're gonna.
Yeah, you think
that's
so?
definitely a bronze medal winning facial expression. But we're going for gold, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sure. So let me give you. I guess I'll just add a little bit more. I'm gonna do the same simple trick and just give a little more.
And how about you do something with your other arm? Like I feel like it's very like stagnant, you know?
Sure. I mean, yo-yo is a one-arm sport, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sure. I'll just like pretend. Maybe what if I like pretend like I'm juggling with this hand?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Great. So I'll do that. It looks like I'm saying like, come give me the points.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. Let me get all in there.
Oh my gosh. You look great. You look amazing. The judges are gonna love this. Like it's beautiful, really. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. That is definitely going to wow the judges and win you a silver medal. But we're a gold medal, right? I'm gonna have to have you do a little more. You know, I'm hearing a lot of silence. I know there's a musical backing, and you're doing it the theme from Up. You're doing it to the theme from the Pixar movie Up, which is beautiful, beautiful. But I think you need to vocalize, not sing because that's distracting. But I think we need some vocalization.
Sure. What if I just have a kazoo in my pocket? What if I just kazoo my way through?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just put my pretend juggling down.
Mm-hmm,
let me pull up my real kazoo.
Yeah, I love this space word.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
Yeah, we can tell.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. And 10 out of 10. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry for making you look like a fool. You yes-anded it. So that's
I thought it was funny. I was trying to figure out, do I want to stop it after the silver? And I was like, nah, rule of threes. We gotta keep it going.
We gotta go. Yeah, that's right. Because I was gonna say that was the gold, and I was like, no, I think we need to do one more.
The fact that you said nice object work. I'm so bad at object work that it made me. I couldn't help it.
I was like,
also the background is the music from Up. That was so funny.
Related to your own life. That's the first musical score I could think of.
Oh my gosh. Well, the first instrument I thought of was a kazoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was like, that's interesting.
Because I was like, all right, I can't talk. I have it in my mouth. I was like,
It was good.
It did not sound like a kazoo at all. I mean, I guess it did. It's just.
Yeah, you can't really do the sound of a kazoo without the use of a kazoo.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Thanks so much for coming to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer. That's Trevor. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.